So again, remember, family share doesn't work for you. Silly goose that. Huh? You ready for short form game? Let's do it. All right. Easily. Sit right here. There's a chair here. Right here. I mean, I gotta put well, that's my character. That's Wow. Strawberry sunflower seed. Ooh. Well, they were on sale at Safeway, so I got a whole bunch of. Oh, this is like the super sale, so I got different stuff to try. Cause my novelty brain. Can you see?
Why does it smell like a cranberry white chocolate?
Just the flavor.
I like strawberry cranberry white chocolate.
You wanna try it?
I think my people are making Toy Story. Stop snacks for video game. That smells like something I had before. I just can't recall it.
Mm-hmm. No, it just tastes like any regular strawberry thing. Right. This is going to have an artificial strawberry flavor, or they'll probably say natural. This is it.
I still don't get out of tiny mouth, so you can't forgive me.
Throws you off. All right, you ready? Go. There we go. A strange prohibition and a surprised experiment. Yahweh God took the human being and placed him in Eden Garden to serve it and look after it. Yahweh God commanded the human being, from every tree in the garden you may definitely eat. But from the good and bad knowledge tree you are not to eat. Tobin Rotary, good job. Because on the day you eat from it, you will definitely die.
Die, nerd.
Yahweh God said, "It is not good for the human being to be on his own. I'll make him a helper suitable for him." Yahweh God shaped from the ground every creature of the wild and every bird in the heavens, and brought them to the human being to see what he will call them. Whatever the human being called a living being, that was its name. The human being the human being gave names to all the cattle, to the birds in the heavens, and to all the creatures of the wild. But for the human being, he did not find a helper suitable for him. All right, what's that to you? Names, right? He named them. And what in the ancient, what does naming something mean? Authority. Correct.
You have the power to do something that no human being can do.
Mm-hmm.
No.
One of our friends has been looking and hoping for years to find the girl of his dreams. But he is getting older, and it looks less and less likely that this will ever happen. So he recently acquired a dog. At least there is now someone in the house to welcome him with enthusiasm when he gets home from work. You can talk to a dog, and in a sense, it answers back. And while you have to pay for the shots at the vet, in some ways, a dog is a lot less trouble than a human being. For humanity as a whole, at the beginning, however, God and the first human being realized this will not do. The background to that realization is a commission.
No, we title Bro Got Cat.
Bro got cat. For you, you'll be getting a cat.
I'll just reimagine it as a cat, not a dog. A big giant cat. Forget dumb.
Except a dog will love you more than a cat would. I mean, to be fair. Like, be fair, right?
Nah.
I mean, let's speak the truth. I know you love cats better, but what will love you more?
Let's continue.
Let's speak the truth. What will love you more?
No.
I'll just wait. This is Truth Hour. What will love you more?
You don't have to do
After you give them treats, especially.
cat. Good. So stupid.
What will love you more? You only have yourself to blame.
They continue a minute.
The background to that realization is a commission and then a strange prohibition. The human being is duly charged to serve the garden and thus look after it. It is God's garden. Human beings are just its gardeners. Whose garden is it? And what's our job? They do get paid, or rather provided for, like the servants in any household. They do have to worry about where the next meal comes from. Once again, Genesis assumes that at the beginning humanity ate what grows, not animate life. Once again, the story hints at its parabolic nature. Human beings cannot actually survive on what grows on trees. But within that framework and those bounds, they get well provided for. This is all that magnificent fruit. There is all that magnificent fruit. The strange prohibition is that they may not eat from the good and bad knowledge tree. There is no specific indication whether they may eat of the life tree, but maybe the implication in Genesis 3 is that the question will not arise yet, as long as they are in the prime of life. It is strange because this looks like a means to receiving a life skill that will be important for their fulfilling the task God has given them. So why are they forbidden access to the tree? Perhaps a clue lies in the way Solomon's prayer refers to this gift. It is indeed a gift for which Solomon prays. God is Lord of it. Distinguishing between good and bad is an insight that belongs to God. So God claims the right to decide whether and when to give it. It is a divine prerogative and a divine gift. And humanity cannot insist on the possession of such insight. Surely God intends humanity to have it. But paradoxically, it can only do so if it accepts the discipline of not simply taking it. To insist on taking it is to push your way into God's realm, to accept to be like God. So who's the holder of wisdom? Right. And so we ask for it, right? We don't take it. There is also a more paradoxical related point. Reverence for God, accepting what God says and living by it, is the first principle of wisdom. The way to knowing the difference between good and bad, so the tree will be the means of humanity's gaining that insight. by their not eating from it. This restraint will be an expression of a wise attitude toward God. It is not surprising that jumping in the opposite direction will immediately have deathly consequences. Of all the other trees, you may definitely eat. If you disobey the one restriction, you will definitely die. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The trouble is that being told you can't do something is likely to make you want to do it. Meanwhile, there is the one human being, and there is the one task of looking after a garden. It is, of course, too much for one person. That's where the dog comes in, along with the other creatures. Really, a cat's going to help you garden? A cat's going. Yeah. That's where the dog comes in.
Honestly, it kind of does though, because what if you tell a cat and it actually doesn't go dig up that carrot?
Would the cat listen?
No. Most of the time, no. If you have a cat actually listen, then it could. Possibly. You might mess up your garden.
You have to spend like 20 years training a cat to do that versus a dog just naturally does it.
Well, some cats listen without hesitation. Some, like very few. Not every
Like
cat.
the very rare,
Yeah.
you might as well take a rocket to the moon kind of chance to find a cat like that.
We don't have to talk about it.
That's where the dog comes in, along with all the other creatures you might encounter in this garden or outside it in the wild. God makes these creatures because the human being is alone. So we're gathering though for a lonely bro. A lonely bro needs a cat. In urbanized society, being alone would suggest being lonely. But Genesis does not say the human being is lonely. The Bible does not really talk about loneliness. It is a problem of urbanized society. In traditional societies, the problem will be the opposite. Being alone means not being able to fulfill the task for which the human being was made. So we have an issue of feeling lonely because we feel we feel lonely, we feel alone. But in the ancient world, being lonely will mean what? Being alone will mean you can't complete the task. So like taking care of people, taking care of yourself, it is easier as a group.
Well, it's still possible if you were like a person
A
like
mega chat, a giga chad.
yeah, if you were that, but other than that, I'd be like angels.
He needs help. Until he has that, creation will not be good. The idea of creation's goodness is another motif shared with Genesis 1, but used in a different complementary way. So God shapes all the
No, we're not talking about that.
complementary.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. But
Yeah.
I can't because
Don't worry. It's one of those words that get easily hung up. That's why I pause myself.
I never said anything, okay?
That's why I pause myself and
I
read.
never said anything.
So for me, like what helps is once I learn,
No, I'm talking about this.
you're done. You want to move on?
Yes.
Okay. So God shapes all the animals from the ground, as God had shaped the human being. Genesis does not quite say that God wondered whether any of the animals will meet the human being's requirement. One thing Genesis is doing here is heightening the dramatic suspense. We know there is a problem God needs to solve, and we are kept waiting for God to solve it. Genesis does indicate that God wonders what the human being will call the animals. God can, of course, look in someone's mind to discover what he is thinking, or look into the future to discover what she will do, but here and elsewhere, the Old Testament implies that God does not always do that. God waits to see what will happen. Perhaps it implies a kind of respect for human beings, a desire to let them make their decisions and not mess with their minds, and a desire for a real-time relationship. If God always worked out ahead of time what we will do and knew it before we did, it would introduce an element of phoniness into the relationship. But that's just my guess. The Bible makes clear only the fact of God's not knowing things ahead of time, not the rationale. Here, God waits to see what the human being will do. Given the power to name the animals, not just the ones in the garden, but also the creatures of the wild, is itself an expression of divine generosity. It gives away authority over them because naming implies authority, which recalls a motif from Genesis 1, humanity's holding sway over creation. The similarity contrasts with the superficial difference that in Genesis 1, God makes the animals before the human beings. Here, God makes them afterwards. Evidently, Israelites could happily accept both stories and not panic about their contradictory. Parables don't have to be consistent in that way. The human being names all the creatures but knows none of them will make a suitable helper. Why is that? Maybe Genesis 1 puts us on the track of the answer. Having made humanity male and female, God proceeded to bless them and commission to be fruitful and numerous, fill the earth and master it. Even if he eats from the life tree and lives forever, one human being on his own will not be able to look after and serve the garden. He needs a labor force. A suitable helper will enable him to produce one. The King James Bible speaks of a help meet for him and has been common to infer that this partner was to be subject to him. This conclusion is not particularly logical, and as a counter to it, we can note that the person most often described as a helper in Scripture is God. So who do we hear is described as a helper? God. Your helper is the strong one who is capable of getting you out of a mess. Being a help does not imply being subordinate. The term meet or suitable points in yet another direction. More literally, it suggests someone who is in front of you or inside of you or opposite you. If anything, it points to the complementarity of woman and man. As Genesis 1 is not a complementarity that makes one subject to the other. Neither has authority over the other. Neither is inherently the leader or the led. The image puts concretely the point made in Genesis 1, that is man as men and women together who comprise the representation of God in the world. It is possible to paint a rather romantic picture of the first man and woman on the basis of Genesis 2, as if it had a relational concern. There is the man who is alone. There is a woman who can come along and be a companion and helper for him in a mutual relationship. Once again, we are reading Western preoccupations into the text. It is about the practicalities. I'm being tripped up over the word. It's about the practicalities. But instead of practice, practicalities. It's about the practicalities. Am I saying that right? No, I'm my turn to be Sergeant tripped up.
Practicality.
Practicality. Right. Practicality. Thank you. The silly things that mess me up. It is about the practicalities of making life in the garden, life on the farm, work. We have noted that the Old Testament provides a song of songs to fill those relational romantic preoccupations of ours. All right, what stood out to you? Nothing did? I do love just the focus on helper. Remember the helper word? in Hebrew? It's Azer. I think Azer is Hebrew. I would say helper in Hebrew. I think the Parakletos is, yeah, Azer. Parakletos is Greek. So you gotta make. You're saying, yeah. So helper and.
And I was technically right though. I did make the same words different language.
Yep, Parakletos.
So I was right in a type.
You're right, but you're
wrong type of word.
yeah, your brain was in the New Testament in Greek, not in the Old Testament Azer. All right, you want to read another section or you? All right, we'll use a Bible project card. That's just what came with. It's also easier when I'm actually gaming, like have it big. So since I made that transition. Are you ready? Oh, these ones actually came with the keyboard, and they're literally in my coverall for when I couldn't find a suitable key to fill that position. Because switching things over from left hand to right hand, like these sides are not parallel. They're just not. Like, have you noticed the size difference between here and here? This is the only key that I could find that will fit that space.
The Gospel according to John. In the first video, we saw that John wrote this book to make the claim that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, the human embodiment of God's word and glorious presence, who has come to reveal who God truly is. Then we explored how John designed the first half of the book to The Gospel according to John. In the first video, we saw that John wrote this book to make the claim that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, the human embodiment of God's word and glorious presence, who has come to reveal who God truly is. Then we explored how John designed the first half of the book to demonstrate this claim. Jesus performed miraculous signs and made huge claims about himself, that he is the reality to which Israel's entire history points. And this all generates controversy, however, and the Jewish leaders confront Jesus for all these claims, and it culminated with Jesus laying down his life for his friend Lazarus. By going near Jerusalem to raise him from the dead, Jesus sealed his fate. And so once the plot to murder Jesus is set in motion, we come into the book's second half. The first part focuses entirely on Jesus' final night and last words to the disciples, as he tries to prepare them for his coming death. Jesus performs this shocking act at dinner. He takes on the role of a common servant by kneeling down to wash their dirty feet, something that in their culture a superior rabbi would never do for his disciples. And Jesus says it's a symbol of his entire life purpose, to reveal the true nature of God as a being of self-giving love. And it's also a symbol of what Jesus is about to do in becoming a servant and giving up his life to die for the sins of the world. And so this act leads to his great command to his disciples that they are to follow him by loving one another as he has loved them. Acts of loving generosity are to be the hallmark of Jesus' followers. This is what will show the world who Jesus is, and therefore who God is. Now from here, Jesus goes into a long flowing speech that's concluded with a prayer, and you'll find the whole thing is unified by a few repeated themes. Jesus keeps saying that he's going away, which makes the disciples sad, but Jesus says it's for the best because it means that he will send the Spirit, also known as the Advocate. As a human, Jesus can only be in one place at a time, but the Spirit can be Jesus' divine personal presence in any place at any time. And the Spirit will do a number of things, Jesus says. So remember, for John, the unique deity of the one God consists of that loving, unified relationship between the Father and the Son. Jesus says the Spirit is that loving personal presence that will come to live in his people and draw them into the love between the Father and the Son. And so, Jesus says, his disciples are the ones who abide or remain in that divine love, the way that branches are connected to a vine. He's describing here how the personal love of God can permeate a person's life, healing, transforming, and making them new. And there's more. The Spirit will also empower Jesus' followers to carry on his mission in the world, to first of all fulfill the great command to love others through radical acts of service. But also, Jesus says, the mission is to bear witness to the truth, to expose and name the selfish, sinful ways that we as humans treat each other, and to declare that in Jesus, God has saved the world through him because he loves it. He's opened up a new way to become human again. And so finally, Jesus predicts that there will be opposition. Just as the Jewish leaders rejected him, so his followers will be persecuted. But he tells them not to be afraid because he has already conquered or gained victory over the world. Now, what does Jesus mean by victory here? He doesn't say. But it leads us into the final section of the book where John shows us what victory looks like Jesus style. The Jewish leaders send soldiers to Jesus and his disciples to arrest him. And when the soldiers ask which one Jesus is, he declares, "I am," and they fall backward. Now this is brilliant on John's part. These words are the culmination of 2 sets of 7 instances where Jesus has used that very phrase. And it all highlights one of John's core claims about Jesus. The words I am, or in Greek ego eimi, they're the Greek translation of the Hebrew personal covenant name of God that was revealed to Moses back in Exodus chapter 3. It was also repeated many times in Isaiah. And John has strategically placed 7 moments in his story where Jesus says, I am, followed by some astounding claim. I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world, the gate for the sheep, the good shepherd, the resurrection, the way, the truth, and the life, the true vine. And John's also designed 7 other stories that have key moments where Jesus says simply, I am, echoing this divine name. And so here, this occurrence as Jesus is arrested, it's the ironic climax of all of them, because Jesus reveals his divine name and power and victory precisely at the moment that he gives up his life. After this, Jesus is put on trial for his exalted claims to be the Son of God and the King of Israel, first before the high priest and then before the Roman governor Pilate, who has to take seriously anyone who's charged with claiming to be the King of Israel. And Jesus tells Pilate that my kingdom is not from this world, meaning that he is a king and that his kingdom is for this world, but it's radically different value system, its redefinition of power and greatness. None of this is derived from this world. Rather, they are defined by God's character that Jesus has revealed through his upside-down kingdom, which is epitomized by the cross. It's the place where the world's true king conquers sin and evil by letting it conquer him. And Jesus gains victory over the world through an act of self-giving love. After this, Jesus' body is placed in a tomb that is then sealed. And on the first day of the week, Mary and then later the other disciples discover that the tomb is strangely open and then empty. And then Mary, all of a sudden, she meets Jesus. He's alive from the dead. Now, the resurrection of Jesus connects back to another pattern of 7s in John's gospel. So all the way back at the wedding party in Cana, when Jesus turned the water into wine, John told us that that was Jesus' first sign. And he also identified the second sign, the healing of the sick boy in chapter 4. But after this, John just lets you keep count. And if you have, you'll have noticed that the 6th sign was the raising of Lazarus from the tomb, which Jesus performed at the cost of his own life. And so that, and all of the signs, they point forward to this 7th and greatest sign at the culmination of the story, Jesus' own resurrection from the dead. It vindicates Jesus' claim to be the Son of God, the author of all life, whose love has conquered death itself. After the empty tomb, Jesus then meets up with all the disciples, and he commissions them by sending the Spirit as he promised, so that his mission from the Father can now be carried on through them. After this, the book concludes with an epilogue that explores the ongoing mission of Jesus' disciples in the world. So a number of them are fishing, and they're not catching anything. And so Jesus appears to them on the shore. They don't recognize him, though. And he tells them to cast their net on the other side of the boat. And when they obey him, they catch a huge amount of fish, and it's only then that they recognize him as Jesus. Now, John's offering here a picture of discipleship to Jesus. His followers will be most effective in the world when their focus is not on their work as such, but on simply listening for Jesus' voice and obeying him when he speaks. That's when they will truly see him at work in their lives. After this, Jesus talks with Peter and then commissions him as a unique leader in the Jesus movement, indicating that he too will give up his life one day. But in contrast to Peter, the last moments of the story focus on the author of this gospel, the disciple whom Jesus loved. And unlike Peter, his job was not to lead the Jesus movement, but rather to spend his long life bearing witness to Jesus so that others might believe in him. And that's actually what he's done right here by authoring this amazing story about Jesus, the Messiah, the Son of God. And that's what the Gospel of John is all about.
All right, bro. What stood out to you? A great friend does give up his life for his friends. What was the seventh sign? Oh, that was the sixth. It was his resurrection, right? And what did the resurrecting do? It also vindicated him. You know what that word means? What if someone was murdered in this apartment and all the evidence points towards me. Okay? And then you arrest me. Let's say you kill me. But then after I'm dead, it turns out that DNA shows it was actually Cody who killed the person. That evidence will vindicate me. You know, but for Jesus, it'll be proof my innocence. Actually, won't be vindication. Vindication will then is somehow Cody was then like on the scene with the knife, and people are like, it was you. Yeah, and then somehow I resurrect like I was innocent all along. There you go, vindication. Like for Jesus, his resurrection shows that he's not. Yeah, he also remember they put him on trial. He was completely innocent, and by his innocence and not being empire-like, because empires use the fear of death, use power for their own. Yep, and that's the beautiful vindication. All right, friend, we can start. All right, I'll be back going to use the restroom, and then more star. I forgot something. Check the. right, friend. That's time. Yeah, you can obviously finish the boss. Have you finished? Oh yeah, you have finished boss school. All right, we just need to read one section, and then we'll be on until we gotta go pick up Ethan. This is it. Genesis chapter 2. So Yahweh God made a coma fall on the human being so that he slept, took one of his ribs, and closed up its place with flesh. Yahweh God built the rib that he had taken from the human being into a womb, to a woman, and brought her into the human being. The human being said, "Well, this one is bone from my bone and flesh from my flesh. This one will be called woman, because from a man this one was taken. Hence a man leaves his father and his mother and sticks to his woman, and they become one flesh. The two of them were naked, and the man and his woman, but they felt no shame." All right. So this is the creation account. What did he do with the man? Yep. And how did he do it? Yep. Cool. I once took part in a workshop where students produced dramatic modern version of stories in Genesis. The one I most remember was a retelling of Genesis 1 by Julia Bolden. There were a number of neat aspects to the story. It is set in a house instead of a farm, which helps an urban person like me to identify with it. Instead of bringing animals to the man, God created gadgets such as a washing machine, but the man wants someone who can combine all the skills of the gadgets. And when the man sees a woman, he cries out, "This is it!" Throughout Genesis 1 and 2, I have translated the word Adam as human being rather than man, because that is what the word means. In Genesis 1 through 27, it is spelled out as male and female. The word will be used without the as the name Adam for the first time in Genesis 3. So, have you heard in Genesis 1 and 2, it just says male and female. It doesn't use the definitive art like the. So it just means human. This means man and woman, and Genesis 1 and 2. But here it says the, and so it's like it's like a definitive article. It'd be like we are all called, like on my family, I would call, it'll say the Millers. We're called Millers. But then look at me like, look at the Miller. Like I am the Miller. Does that make sense? In Genesis 2, the first human being, of course, is a man and not a woman. But in a sense, we do not know this yet, and neither does he. We and he are about to discover it. He becomes male as opposed to female only when there's another person who stands over against him. That more literally meaning of suitable for him, who is different from him in gender. When he sees her, he knows immediately, instinctively, this is it! She is so different from the animals. This is a person suitable for me. And now Genesis refers to him by its word for man and to her by its word for woman. He is an ish. She is an ish-shash. Their words are nicely similar, like man and woman. Another useful aspect of Julia Boland's modern version of the story is that it helps us see how it functioned as a historical parable. God did not literally put the first human being in the house and create the machines and bring them to him. This image depicts what God did in order to bring part of the first man. Did the man originally have 25 ribs? By describing God's building the woman this way. However, Genesis adds another image to the one it has already used. Bringing the word into being was like an artist creating, like a structural engineer erecting a dome, like a potter shaping a pot, and like a construction manager manufacturing something. In the parable, God did not make the woman from scratch by taking another handful of dirt and molding it, as God did with the animals. Instead, God used a part of the first human being to make the second. That draws attention to the closer relationship between the man and the woman. It is almost as if the woman is born from the man. As we put it, they have the same genetic makeup, except for the elements that make for their gender differentiations. This explains the natural attraction of a man and woman for each other, and the woman he marries. A man finds a missing part of himself, something that complements him. And Adam does not name the woman as he named the animals. His observation about what she will be called is more like a prophecy or an act of recognition of her or who she is. While the idea of a suitable help for the first human being starts from his need of someone with whom he can have children, there are other things going on in this relationship. Procreation does not require mutual commitment. Cleaving or sticking does not refer merely to the couple's sexual union, but to mutual commitment. Ruth sticks by Naomi when Naomi returns to Bethlehem. The Judean people stick by David when there is a civil war. This fits with the man's phrase, bone for my bone and flesh my flesh. It's a phrase like my own flesh and blood. Laban uses a similar expression to Jacob. And David again uses it of the Judahites in the context of the civil war. It indicates a commitment emerging from an awareness of relationship. Genesis is recognizing the extraordinary nature of the process whereby a man leaves his parents and starts a new commitment to a woman. Actually, in the Old Testament, a man does not usually do that. A woman leaves her family and joins her husband. Perhaps that is the point of the comment. In a literal sense, a man does not leave home when he marries, but brings his wife to his parents' house, or at least into a house in a cluster occupied by the extended family. That means he needs to make sure he transfers his affections and his commitments. His wife comes first now. When Genesis speaks of their becoming one in this way, it implies what happens when people get married. And English translations use the words husband and wife to describe them. Yet Genesis actually continues to describe the couple as the man and the woman, and as his woman and her man. The Hebrew words for husband and wife are ones that literally describe a husband as master or owner, and a wife as someone who is owned. And the Old Testament generally does not use these words. Once more, this point away from ideas of the man-woman relationship that suggests a hierarchical understanding or a property view of marriage. Or rather, it applies a different property view, a mutual one. A wife is her husband's, and a husband is his wife's. So neither is now free to give himself or herself to someone else. Likewise, it will be illogical to assume that the woman was secondary in significance or subordinate to the man because she was created second. In Genesis 1, the human beings are created after the animals, which hardly implies that they are inferior. It will be as logical to assume that the woman is superior to the man because she is created second. Who wants the Mark 1 version of a program when the Mark 2 has been developed? 1 Timothy chapter 2 does link the submission of woman to man with the order of creation. But the New Testament reference to the Old Testament aren't designed to tell us the meaning of the Old Testament text itself. Very often there are ways the Holy Spirit guides New Testament writers to use the text in relation to their own context. But they have little to do with the text's own meaning. Genesis 2 has one further comment on human origins. The picture of Adam and Eve wandering about the garden in the buff has stimulated much human imagination and art, as well as edifying observations about a couple's need to be totally open to one another. But the implication of this note likely lies somewhere else. No other Old Testament references to people being naked concern themselves with the sexual implications of nakedness. Being naked suggests poverty, misfortune, and oppression. God expects us to share our food with the hungry, our homes with the homeless, and our clothes with the naked. Adam and Eve have nothing with which to clothe themselves, but they are not ashamed, as if this nakedness implies poverty. Alas, that will change. Jesus takes up Genesis 2 along with Genesis 1 when asked what he thinks of divorce. He infers that the lifelong marriage of a man and woman is the ideal norm, though he recognizes that not everyone can live with this teaching. Like Moses, he recognizes the need to make allowance for human hard-heartedness. Human failure will mean marriages break down. All right, anything stood out to you from the reading? No? All right. King Jesus, you're good. Thank you for creating man and woman in co-ownership and co-equalship. And we are charged to ourselves. Thank you that the script, like the absolute desire to rule over each other and subjugate the other, is from compromise and fall. Is not how you originally intended. Thank you, King Jesus. Amen. All right, friends. We'll be back in a bit. Peace.